What if 6 numbers could do more than win money? What if they could shift your energy? This May 21st, 2025, a rare spiritual alignment opens a doorway. And these 6 numbers aren't just digits. They're signals. Signals that you're ready to break the cycle of stress, scarcity, and stagnation. Because let's face it, you've worked hard. You've been patient. But the flow of abundance, it still feels blocked. And deep down, you know it's not just about luck. It's about alignment. These aren't magic numbers. They're mirrors reflecting what you need to heal, release, and rise. Rooted in Buddhist wisdom and sacred numerology, each number carries a frequency meant to realign your inner world, so your outer world can finally shift. To start this journey, give this video a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications for weekly insights that blend ancient truth with practical guidance. And here's your first conscious action. Comment below. I welcome growth and harmony into my life. By doing that, you're not wishing for change, you're declaring you're ready for it. Take a deep breath. Let's unlock what these 6 numbers have been trying to tell you. Part 1, number 3, joyful expression, the currency of the soul. My voice is a gift, my story is sacred. The number 3 isn't just playful, it's profound. It's the vibration of joy, the rhythm of self-expression, the heartbeat of creativity. In numerology, 3 represents the child of the universe, the part of you that dreams, sings, writes, paints, dances, and dares to be unapologetically seen. Too often as we age, that voice gets quieter. We trade curiosity for caution. But the energy of May 21st, 2025 urges you to do the opposite, to reclaim your voice, your story, and your inner artist. Let me tell you about Dan, a man I met during a mindfulness retreat. At 55, Dan walked away from a well-paying but soul-draining corporate job. He said, "I'd been dying in a gray cubicle for 30 years, quietly, politely." What changed? He began writing poems in a journal during lunch breaks. One day, a friend read one and said, "This is you. This is the real Dan." That moment of recognition lit a fire in him. Within a year, he'd published his first book of poetry. Today, he's not just financially stable, he's alive. That's the power of the number 3. It's not about impressing others. It's about expressing your truth, raw, real, and radiant. In Buddhist philosophy, this aligns beautifully with the Trikaya, Nirmanakaya body, the form you take in this world. Sambhogakaya mind, the blissful body of joy, imagination, and insight. Dharmakaya spirit, the formless essence of truth. Together they remind us you are not just a thinker or a doer. You are a living poem, a complete being, meant to embody your truth. So I ask you today, what truth have you been silencing? What stories, talents, or dreams have been tucked away? Because now's not the right time. Or what will people think? Grab a journal and answer that question. Let it flow without judgment. Because here's the truth. When you express who you really are, you stop chasing abundance and start radiating it. Affirmation of the day. My voice is a gift. My story is sacred. The world needs to hear me unedited, unfiltered, and fully alive. Let this number guide you not just to wealth, but to wholeness. Part 2. Number 4. The silent architect of fortune. What you build with patience today becomes your peace tomorrow. The number 4 doesn't boast. It doesn't sparkle. But make no mistake, its power is unmatched. While the number 3 invites us to express, number 4 grounds us. It is the silent architect, the spiritual engineer, the wise builder, who knows that a meaningful life isn't crafted in moments of excitement, but in quiet consistency. In a world addicted to speed and spectacle, 4 whispers a different truth. Go slow. Be intentional. Lay the brick properly. Let me share a story. Terrence, a retired Army veteran, spent most of his life serving others but never really building for himself. At 62, he decided to turn a piece of unused land behind his house into a small garden. Not for money, not for show. Just to grow something with his own hands. Day by day, he tilled the soil, planted seeds, and tended to it without rush. 5 months later, not only did the garden bloom, but so did Terrence. He said, "I didn't just grow vegetables, I rebuilt my soul." That's number 4, not flashy, but transformational. In Buddhist teachings, this echoes the Eightfold Path, where each step, right view, right action, right effort is deliberate. There are no shortcuts to enlightenment, only steady presence and deep integrity. Number 4 calls you to build your abundance, not wish for it. Want financial peace? Track your spending. Want health? Move your body daily. Want meaningful relationships? Show up again and again. Numerologically, 4 is associated with Saturn, the planet of karma and responsibility. It teaches that everything has a cost, and everything built with care has value. It's not punishment, it's maturity. Spiritually, number 4 is linked to the 4 elements: earth, grounding and security; water, emotional presence; fire, passion and transformation; air, mental clarity. When these are in balance, you don't just succeed, you thrive. So if you felt scattered, stuck, or constantly restarting, the message is clear: build a foundation. And build it now. Take out a notebook and ask, what area of my life needs stronger structure? What one daily habit can I commit to for the next 30 days? Then keep your word, quietly. Not for likes, not for praise, but for your future self. Affirmation of the day. Each small step I take today builds the life I deserve tomorrow. I trust the process. I am the architect of my peace. Let number 4 remind you success that lasts isn't built in a moment. It's built every morning you rise and recommit, even when no one's watching. Part 3, number 7, the inner compass to clarity. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of meaning. If number 3 is the artist and 4 is the builder, then number 7 is the mystic. Quiet, reflective, deep. 7 doesn't chase, it listens, it observes. It steps back from the noise of the world to reconnect with what's real and what's sacred. In numerology, 7 is the seeker of truth, the number that asks, not, how fast can I go, but why am I going? On May 21st, the energy of number 7 invites you to step off the treadmill of constant doing and return to something often forgotten in this busy world awareness. Let me tell you a story. Linda, a successful entrepreneur in her early 50s, had built a thriving business but lost touch with herself in the process. Despite all the success, she felt constantly anxious, always searching for what's next. One day, her body forced a pause, severe burnout. During her recovery, she began a simple practice, 7 minutes of silent breathing each morning. At first, it was uncomfortable, restless, pointless, but gradually something shifted. In those 7 minutes, she began to hear her own voice again. Not her calendar, not her clients, herself. And in that silence, clarity returned. This is the gift of number 7. It doesn't bring answers in neon signs, it offers gentle inner knowing. In Buddhist tradition, 7 holds deep spiritual meaning. It's said that after the Buddha was born, he took 7 steps and declared his awakening. Each step was symbolic toward enlightenment, not ego. Number 7 is also associated with Neptune, the planet of dreams and intuition. When you honor the energy of 7, you tap into something beyond logic. You trust your gut. You remember that the truth often whispers, not shouts. So here's your practice. Each morning for the next 7 days, sit in stillness for 7 minutes. No music, no distractions, just your breath. Then journal on this question. What am I truly searching for right now? You might be surprised by what rises to the surface, because clarity doesn't come from scrolling or striving. It comes from stillness. Affirmation of the day. I trust the quiet voice within. I am guided not by noise, but by wisdom. Let the number 7 be your compass, not toward louder goals, but toward deeper alignment. Because when you align with your truth, life begins to align with you. Part 4, number 26. Wealth with wisdom. True abundance isn't rushed, it's rooted. If number 3 awakens joy, and number 4 builds foundations, and number 7 whispers truth, then number 26 arrives with maturity. This is the number of wise wealth, the kind that's earned, not just with effort, but with alignment, integrity, and inner balance. In numerology, 26 blends the intuition and diplomacy of 2 with the nurturing and responsibility of 6. Together they form a quiet but powerful message. Don't just chase success, create it consciously. This number often appears in the lives of people navigating life's midpoint, ages 30 to 65, when the pressure to provide, to lead, and to get it right is high. And yet number 26 doesn't scream more. It asks, is what you're building in harmony with who you really are? Let me share a true story. Carlos, a 48-year-old executive I met during a Buddhist-inspired financial retreat, seemed to have it all: position, prestige, a 7-figure salary. But he confessed something that shocked the room. He said, I feel like I'm managing a life I never chose. His calendar was full, but his heart was empty. Carlos didn't lack money. He lacked alignment. After deep reflection, he took what he called a compassionate sabbatical. He didn't quit. He paused. And during that pause, he reconnected with his values. Family dinners, walking meditations, mentoring others without expecting returns. 3 months later, he went back to work, not as a different man, but as a man who finally understood why he was working. He even downsized his role, but found deeper joy, better health, and more meaningful wealth than before. That's the lesson of 26. It's not about shrinking, it's about aligning. In Buddhist philosophy, this mirrors the middle way, the path between excess and deprivation. Buddha didn't teach us to reject wealth. He taught us to be awake in our relationship with it. If you're constantly hustling but feel disconnected, if you're earning but not enjoying, if you're surrounded by people but feel misunderstood, then 26 is your spiritual checkpoint. It's an invitation to pause and ask, is this how I want to live? Is my work in service of my values, or just my bills? Am I growing wealth with wisdom, or just running on autopilot? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary. And here's the key. You don't need to abandon everything to find alignment. You just need to bring awareness into your next decision. So here's your journaling prompt. In what areas of my life am I living out of alignment with my truth? And what one step can I take this week to shift that? Start small. Maybe it's saying no to one meeting. Maybe it's taking a walk without your phone. Maybe it's choosing presence over productivity just once a day. Because wealth without wisdom is a burden, but wealth with wisdom, that's freedom. Affirmation of the day. I create abundance with clarity and compassion. My success is rooted in truth. Let number 26 remind you. You are not just here to survive. You're here to design a life that feels good to live. And that begins not with more money, but with more meaning. Part 5, number 11, the wake-up code. Some truths don't shout, they whisper. Will you listen? Among all the numbers, 11 stands apart. In numerology, it's known as a master number, not because it controls others, but because it awakens you to yourself. It's the soft light before sunrise, the quiet inner nudge, the dream you can't forget because deep down you know it's a message. On May 21st, the energy of 11 is rising, and its presence is not loud, but profound. Let's be honest. In a world that glorifies noise speed and constant achievement, it's easy to lose your own voice beneath the expectations of others. We perform, we adjust, and over time we forget how to hear ourselves. That's where number 11 comes in. It doesn't add more to your plate, it strips everything away, until only truth remains. Let me tell you about Hana, a woman I met in a small Zen temple in Kyoto. She had spent decades following the script. Good student, good job, good family. But one morning while waiting at a red light, she suddenly began to cry. Not from sadness, from the realization that she couldn't remember the last time she made a decision purely for herself. That day she saw 1111 on her phone. She didn't think much of it at first. But over the next few weeks, the number kept reappearing: clocks, receipts, license plates. Eventually, she paused long enough to ask, "What is my life trying to tell me?" That question changed everything. She didn't abandon her family. She didn't move to a mountain. She simply began listening to her body, to her dreams, to her quiet knowing. And through small mindful shifts, she rebuilt a life that reflected her, not just her roles. This is the energy of number 11. It's not the voice of ambition, it's the voice of awakening. In Buddhist teachings, this reflects right view, the ability to see clearly without distortion. And clarity, the Buddha said, doesn't arrive through thinking harder. It arrives when the mind becomes still enough to perceive what was always there. Astrologically, 11 is connected to Uranus, the planet of intuition, revolution, and spiritual breakthrough. It often arrives when you're stuck in a life that looks good but feels misaligned. So if you felt restless lately, if your routines feel hollow, if your heart's been whispering, something has to change. That's 11 knocking. And here's your reflection question. Where in my life am I following someone else's script, and what truth is waiting for me to claim it? Let yourself sit with this journal, or even meditate on it. You don't need to figure everything out. You just need to start listening. Because when you honor that inner truth, even with one small decision, life responds. Doors open, weight lifts, and you realize it wasn't the world that was holding you back. It was the silence you were afraid to enter. Affirmation of the day. I trust the wisdom within me. My life aligns when I listen deeply. Let the number 11 remind you. Breakthroughs rarely come in noise. They arrive in stillness when you remember who you are and have the courage to live by it. Part 6, number 35. Sacred transformation in motion. You don't have to break apart to grow. You can evolve in peace with purpose. Where some numbers are about stillness and others about structure, number 35 is the number of conscious transformation change that doesn't disrupt your soul, but deepens it. It's the energy of moving forward with awareness, not urgency. Numerologically, 35 blends two powerful vibrations. 3, the number of joyful expression and creativity. 5, the number of freedom, change, and adventure. Together they form a dance, a rhythm that says, grow boldly, but grow mindfully. This is not the kind of transformation where you throw your life away and start over. This is the kind where you pause, realign, and evolve one honest step at a time. Let me tell you about Marcus, a 60-year-old man who spent most of his life playing it safe. Good job. Stable life. But he always felt something was missing. One day, his granddaughter asked him, "Grandpa, what did you want to be when you were my age?" He smiled and said, "A photographer." She asked, "Why didn't you do it?" He paused for a long time and replied, "I never gave myself permission." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. The next week, he bought a camera, and every Sunday since he's walked around his neighborhood capturing life through new eyes. He didn't quit his job. He didn't need to. but something inside him woke up, and it's been alive ever since. That's 35. It doesn't demand a leap. It invites a step. It doesn't say burn it down. It says breathe new life into what's already here. In Buddhist wisdom, this connects deeply with the principle of impermanence. Anicca, the understanding that everything is always changing, and that peace comes not from resisting change, but flowing with it. So, if life has been calling you to grow, to shift direction, to revisit a dream, the energy of May 21st, guided by number 35, is asking you to answer gently but clearly. Here's your reflection for this moment. What part of me is ready to evolve? And how can I begin with grace? Maybe it's a habit you're outgrowing. Maybe it's a truth you've been afraid to say. Or maybe, like Marcus, it's a dream that's been waiting patiently for you to turn around and notice it. You don't have to uproot your life to transform. You just have to say yes to movement with meaning. Affirmation of the day. I welcome change with clarity. I evolve with purpose and peace. Let number 35 guide you into a new season of life, one that honors your past, embraces your truth, and unfolds with beauty, one mindful step at a time. Part 7. Rewrite the story, from scarcity to inner abundance. The mind is everything. What you think, you become. Buddha. What if the true source of abundance isn't in your wallet, but in your mindset? In Buddhist philosophy, everything begins within. Your thoughts shape your reality, your energy attracts your experience, and your beliefs quietly dictate what you allow yourself to receive. Abundance isn't about luck, it's about alignment. If you constantly feel like there's never enough time, money, opportunity, that's not your fault. That's a story you may have inherited. One passed down quietly, through generations. One shaped by fear, survival, and limitation. Let me tell you about Amina, a single mother of 2. She grew up hearing money doesn't grow on trees, and watched her parents argue over bills. So when she had children, she noticed she was repeating the same patterns, budgeting with fear, avoiding financial discussions, and living with quiet anxiety, even when things were stable. But one day she paused. Instead of passing down stress, she decided to pass down conscious awareness. She started a new family tradition every Sunday night. They would sit down together, and each person would write one thing they were grateful for, and one small way they could care for their money that week. Her children didn't just learn about saving. They learned that money is a relationship, not a threat. That abundance is not about having it all, but being present with what you already have. Now imagine what changes when you approach money with that kind of energy. I once worked with a client who committed to one simple ritual. Every morning before checking her phone, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for. That small shift done daily altered her energy completely. Within 3 months, her business grew. Not because her strategy changed, but because her mindset did. Here are 3 simple ways to start shifting from scarcity to sacred abundance. 1. Gratitude journaling. Each night list 3 things you're thankful for, even if small. Gratitude opens the door to receiving more by affirming, I already have enough. 2. Declutter for flow. Clear a drawer, a corner, or your digital space. Letting go of what you don't need. Create space energetically and physically for what you do. 3. Create a sacred money space. Designate a place in your home to engage with your finances, whether it's paying bills, tracking expenses, or dreaming about your goals. Light a candle. Bring mindfulness into the process. And here's your journaling prompt. What money story did I inherit? And what new story do I want to pass on? Because here's the truth. Scarcity is a learned story. And if it was learned, it can be rewritten. Affirmation of the day. I release old beliefs and choose abundance. I am open. I am enough. I am ready. Abundance doesn't arrive when everything is perfect. It arrives the moment you decide to stop running and start receiving from within. Part 8, Worth Focus and Generosity. The real currency of abundance. Let your money follow your meaning. Give without fear. And believe deeply that you deserve to receive. Let's speak truthfully. You can budget, strategize, and earn all you want. But until you believe you are worthy of abundance, you'll quietly block it. Many people don't have a money problem. They have a self-worth problem. They undersell. They overgive. They make choices rooted in guilt, not clarity. Take Ethan, for example. He was a skilled web designer who hadn't raised his prices in 5 years. He said, "I didn't want to scare people away." But in truth, he was scared. Scared he wasn't good enough to charge more, even though his clients praised his work. After working through those beliefs in therapy and meditation, Ethan finally sent out a new rate sheet. Some clients walked away, but the ones who stayed paid more and respected him more, and soon he attracted even better opportunities. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that self-compassion is a form of wealth. When you treat yourself with kindness, you stop leaking your energy through fear-driven choices. Ask yourself, how would I handle money if I believed I was truly worthy? That brings us to focus because energy flows where your attention goes. In one coaching session, I met a couple who felt constantly broke, despite earning 6 figures. When they tracked their spending for a month, they realized the issue wasn't income. It was misalignment. They were spending on convenience appearances and things they thought they should have, not what they truly valued. So they made one bold decision: simplify. They downsized their home-deleted delivery apps and prioritized what mattered: family dinners, weekend hikes, one intentional trip each year. The result? Not just financial breathing room, but a deeper sense of peace. Here's an invitation for you. Track your spending for the next 7 days, not to judge yourself, but to ask, does this reflect what I value? Because your money is already telling a story. The question is, does it match the story you want to live? And finally, let's talk about the quiet power of giving. In Buddhism, this is called dana, the practice of generosity. Not because you have to give, but because giving frees you. It interrupts scarcity. It reminds you, I have enough to share. A man named Malik, whom I met through a meditation circle, was unemployed and deeply anxious. Instead of retreating into fear, he volunteered at a shelter twice a week. 3 months later, someone he served referred him to a job that became his dream role. He didn't give to get, he gave to live generously. And life responded. So here's a powerful challenge. Commit to one act of anonymous generosity each week. Buy someone's coffee. Leave flowers on a stranger's doorstep. Give not for applause, but to keep your heart open. Affirmation of the day. I give freely and receive gratefully. I trust in my worth. I focus on what matters. Let your self-worth guide your decisions. Let your attention build your abundance. And let your generosity open doors no strategy ever could. Because when you live in alignment, you don't chase wealth. It finds you. 6 numbers, 6 vibrations, each one offering more than the promise of fortune, each one inviting you to remember something sacred. Abundance doesn't begin with money. It begins with you. On May 21st, the energies of 3, 4, 7, 26, 11, and 35 aren't random digits. They are mirrors reflecting back your creativity, your discipline, your truth, your wisdom, your awakening, and your courage to change with grace. And if you've made it this far, then you already know this isn't about lottery tickets. It's about inner permission to grow, to express, to receive, to finally live in alignment with who you are and what you value. Maybe the world told you abundance comes from hustle, Maybe life made you believe you had to sacrifice peace for prosperity. But here's what the Buddhist path gently reminds us. When you walk in presence, abundance walks with you. So instead of asking, will I get lucky? Ask this, am I ready to live like I already am? Because when your energy shifts, your reality does too. If this message spoke to your heart, give the video a like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more teachings like this. And let's make it real. Comment below abundance is already within me, because the moment you believe it, life begins to reflect it. Until next time, walk gently, live wisely, and remember, you are your own fortune.